civil rights movement redefined what it means to be a human in the United States of America.
Ship came in from South Africa, and many of the community organizations and progressive folk that came down, you know, from welfare rights, Kensington Rights Organization, Black Panther Party, Black Front, YSA Socialists, Communists, everybody came down to see what we can do to stop working that ship. They had leafleted up the street at the hiring center, then came down the pier, couldn't get in. So I wasn't in the union, but I was still a longshoreman going on the ship. So I remember going on the ship and walking up and down the deck to all 5 hatches and told everybody, come on out of that hatch. There's black South African blood all over the deck down there on the floor. So everybody came up out of the hatches and we knocked the ship off. Everybody walked off the ship, shut the pier down. And that was one of the most progressive actions that had taken place down here on the waterfront in a long time. So it started to continue at other ports. Stuff started happening on South Africa, but it brought about a new level of consciousness of what we see here in the United States in the civil rights movement as the struggle against apartheid in South Africa was taking place, and the international content was evolving now in this country.
Okay, so that was then. Is any of that even relevant today?
Yes, it is. It's very significant because the way I see it, we came through Black Reconstruction to the second Reconstruction with Martin Luther King, the civil rights movement. And at this period of time, we were seeing a decline, but the effort was still there. Just like in Philadelphia, I saw this waterfront as being a powerful base of how we can change the city, because coming from the 71 all the way up to 79, we had 3 mayoralty elections. Hardy Williams, he went against Rizzo. Charles Bowers went against Rizzo. And the third was Lucien Blackwell in 1979. And the way we see it, even though we had African Americans doing this fighting in Philadelphia against one of the most vicious mayors, which I call at that time a fascist, like Daley out in Chicago, that we felt as though that power base would be when we take over cities. And that was the trend coming into the 70s. So Lucien, I can recall when he asked for the endorsement at our convention in 79 in Florida, overwhelmingly, he said, yeah, we got $16 million in our co-fund, let Lou get it. And this was the whole ILA saying, let's take the town. Philadelphia, we was running other offices all throughout the South and up here. So when we made that fight, Lou put up one of the best fights as the mayor. He lost by a single-digit percentage in that fight against Rizzo, and he ran as an independent. That set the stage for a guarantee of Wilson Good to win. Because it was this union, I mean, you know, the longshore locals that were the backbone of pushing them forward, particularly after what Lucien Blackwell had came from with Hardy Williams and Charles. So that set the stage for Wilson Good to win, and which is continuing as we had John Streets and, you know, how we've been doing in this here town.
I've seen a good portion of this country by water, and it's valuable, it's exciting, and it can be a decent livelihood.
So there's been an increase in leisure activity?
Yes, there has. There's been a total increase. Like Penn's Landing wasn't there. Penn's Landing was a shipping facility. It was a pier, commercial pier, and then I guess it changed. When I was a young fellow living in Center City, we used to walk down and watch the construction along Penn's Landing. It was just beginning to go together. Now there are 5 marinas within sight of here, pretty much all doing pretty decent businesses. There was no waterfront recreation. Now there are probably 5 restaurants, there are bars, there are places just like this. This promenade, as we call it, was built primarily just to come down and enjoy the waterfront. These benches, come down in the summer and sit by the water. Watch our fireworks. We have a fireworks celebration here on the 4th of July, and we have one here in the winter for New Year's. So it's something. It's always something to do. Philadelphia has hosted boat shows of new boats, recreational underwater boat shows. We've had visiting tall ships. The Amistad came in here on her maiden voyage coming down from Connecticut where she was launched and built. She sailed down here. We had her here for a week. Incredible crowds. We filled this place up with people who wanted to know their history.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a desire to know where we fit in. And that's a real part of our history.
Now, how long you been doing this?
It'll be 20 years this year.
20 years.
20 years.
So how long did it take you to be from being a deckhand to making it to a mate?
About 3 years.
About 3 years?
Yes.
Okay. And then from a mate to a captain?
I had most of my time in by now, so I just needed to put in a little extra time. Probably about a year or so.
Mm-hmm. So how much time does a mate have to put in before they become a captain?
You need like 1,080 days. And each day counts as a day and a half when you work on a tugboat, working 24-hour days.
So after, what, about 6 years, you were a captain on one of the McAllister tugboats?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So now you've been a captain for what, 15 years?
Yep, 15 years. From a deckhand to a mate to a captain, 15 years.
Did the civil rights movement have any impact on your participation in this business?
Absolutely. There's a lot of people that paved the way pretty much for me to be where I'm at right now. Being able to be a captain and work on the river, a little tough for me coming up, but you know, like I said, I had people that believe in me and told me not to give up and stick with it.
Oh, so you encountered some obstacles?
Yeah, there were some. You know, years ago, the old timers talking about nigger and stuff, things like that of nature, being called boy. It's not a very pleasant thing to put up with.
Mm-hmm. So how did you handle those situations?
Most of the time I sort of grinned and bear it. You know, so, you know, eventually those guys ended up being my mate. They sort of had to listen to what I said.
Mm-hmm. So you became the captain?
Yeah, I became the captain, and they became the mate. So it was my pleasure telling them, you know, you got to do this.